Hey guys, welcome to the Monday Night Movie Club, and there's already more people here than actually watched the movie that we're talking about here tonight. So I'm glad to see you guys have all joined us for our discussion on Shazam 2 or Shazam Fury of the Gods. I think it's the first time I've actually said the full title of the movie since we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks. But I'm here with my regular cast of. I don't know what to say about my person on the right over here. He's boomeranging up already pretty badly. We haven't even started the show. Rick Aragon, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been an adventurous day.
Voice is a little bit shot, but I mean, this is what.
Yeah. I was thinking. I think I have whatever Spencer had.
Yeah, there's something going around. I'm struggling to get past it too. I've had it a couple of weeks ago, so still on the back end of things. But someone who's not sick, at least not at the moment, is Rob Motto. Even though you were dealing with your own situation not too long ago yourself. So how you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm a character, so you can refer to me as one. But yeah, no, I just loving life. Not really. But I'm looking forward to John Wick 4 this weekend. Gonna spend $30 on concessions, and it'll be a good time.
Best of luck to you. That's pretty much all I can say. But yeah, no. John Wick 4 is obviously our movie for next week, and it feels like the first movie of the year that there's actually some anticipation for, which is a different feeling. I mean, it's better than be anticipating a movie rather just go in with complete another dread like we've been doing for like the last 4 or 5 months. So it's a welcome change.
Well, it should be an adventure since I've never seen any of the John Wick films, and I'm not going to watch any of them.
Yeah, we've already been through this. We're not doing this again. So just,
Yeah.
Well, it might
uh,
be actually my first IMAX movie since. Oh no, yeah, it was since the Batman last year.
no,
But
really.
before that, it was Tenet. So yeah, I don't really dish out because even with Regal Unlimited, I still have to pay 650
Yeah.
to go to the IMAX showing, and I'm taking my roommate as well. So it's like 24 bucks, and then I'm gonna spend $30 on concessions. So it'll be like 50 bucks. So it'll be fine.
I honestly can't even remember the last movie I saw in a legit IMAX. It may have been, but I don't even think I saw Top Gun in IMAX. So I don't even know like the last one we actually like went to. And I know I've seen like a bunch of like gimmicks like the 4DX one, but like IMAX is the one that's been a blur to me. So yeah, that's how much I go out to spend extra money at the theaters when I don't
I
have to.
yeah. I never go for IMAX unless I'm dragged, kicking and screaming into it. Although I might watch John Wick Chapter 4 en español. There is a screening, so
Wait, so you're not gonna go see Dune, the sequel to Dune in IMAX? You're not gonna have the biggest, most impressive visual format for what's supposed to be, in your words, a science fiction masterpiece?
well, if they have a screening that where they show Dune Part 1 and then Dune Part 2 in IMAX, then yes. And yeah, you know what? Right. I think I should watch the sequel to one of the greatest science fiction films of all time in IMAX. I should enjoy the full immersive
Yeah.
experience. Yes. Thank you, Robert. I will take
Mhm.
your advice.
I mean, I still remember the first time, first time on Inception. It was an IMAX showing that Friday night it came out. I couldn't stop talking about the movie for 5 hours because I was just so enamored with the experience and the presentation, and just I love that. And I'm a lot less warm on the movie now, but
Mhm.
as a movie going experience, it was really a good time.
I actually think I want to say my first IMAX was The Matrix Reloaded, and it was terrible.
Hmm.
Does anyone remember the little gimmick theater gimmick called D Box? Remember, and that was a thing like a few years ago. I'm not sure if it still exists in any front, but essentially it's kind of an offshoot of 4DX where you sit in these like chairs and you kind of like move along with the action like in the movie. Like it's like with 4DX to get like all the wind and the water and all like the gimmicks and whatnot, where D Box is just the motion and nothing else.
Yeah, in fact, we still have a theater that has D box. I'm looking up the John Wick Chapter 4, and they have D box XD D box seats.
Yeah, see, the problem with D box is that, well, I mean, if I wanted to go do 4DX, the closest 4DX theater is like 30 minutes away from me in a drive, and that's not exactly anything that I look forward to unless I absolutely have to. So then, like, D box, I don't even think there's even one in the state that I'm in right now. Like, I'll have to see, like, who actually has, like, D box, like, in their movie theaters here. Do you have it pulled up on yours yet?
Um, what, the D box?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a D box. Yeah, we still have D box here in El Paso, but we're always like what 10 years behind a lot of things. I'm just more appalled at the fact that it's 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost 3 hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one. Hey, that's a lot of headshots in 2 hours and how many freaking minutes? So there you go.
It has like a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I know doesn't mean anything, but I've heard some pretty good things from people I trust. That and again, I know that this is putting putting myself out on a limb, but there people are saying it's the best of the four, which I very doubtful of, just because number one, I think it's the longest, and in a franchise that's rarely the case. That the longest and the latest one is the best entry.
Well, it's only about half an hour longer than Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
God, that would just went on forever, didn't it?
Yeah,
That just did not get it.
and I don't know about you guys, but I actually did stay till the very closing credits.
No, I told you to do that.
Well, no, but I always wonder if they're going to add on something at the end, and I want to give as complete a review as possible.
It's not the movie. The movie is start to finish, and if there's a mid-credit thing, that's the credits. To me, that's extra bullshit, but that's fine.
Yeah, look, I might stay for a mid-credit scene, but I'm not staying like through like 7 minutes of credits when I've already been sitting there 2.5 hours on a mediocre movie. So, according to the D-Box listing near me, the closest to D-Box theaters near me, one is in Birmingham, Alabama, which I'm not going to Birmingham, Alabama for any reason whatsoever. And the second closest one is all the way in Jacksonville, Florida. So, it's pretty safe to say that I won't be going to any of those anytime soon.
You'd have to leave the state. You literally would have to leave the state either way.
Yeah, there's no D-Box in the entire state of Georgia at all. So,
Wow.
See, you would have had more D boxes if Stacey Abrams had won. Actually, she did win. So if she had been governor reelected, you would have had a lot of D boxes.
she'll probably try to run for a third time, thinking that she'll win again. Why not? Just keep running every year until you die. I don't know. But let's give a shout out to the people in the chat just real quick. Rocky the Black Dragon was the first one here tonight. I know Spencer's been really looking forward to this review. I don't know why, but I mean he has been. Duke is here tonight. Alex vs. Evil joining us. Doba Fett who is joining us here. I already shout out Alex. I'm not giving you another shout out. Yeah. Resident Evil Death Island. Have to look into that. I don't think I've seen any previews for that just yet, so I'll have to see. I know that one was in IMAX, but to me, that's not worthy of an IMAX film at all. I know like where at least where you used to be at, Spencer. There was one in Mission Valley. Now, it wasn't in like the Mission Valley Mall, but it was basically between Mission Valley and Fashion Valley and that little like Hazard Center. That's pretty much like the only one that I knew in that area. So, D-Box still around. Shazam 2 post-credit scenes was a rehash of the first movie. Yeah, I mean that's it. There's no reason to stay around for extra 7 minutes just for that payoff because there was no payoff there. Hazard Center. Yeah, that was the one that I was talking about there. Yeah, I think they even had a comic book store over there, but I'm no idea if that's still there or not. I haven't been in San Diego in like 2 years, so I don't know what's still there. Everything could be gone as far as I know now, but. So I wanted to ask you guys. I didn't make you guys review any other movies before this, but I wanted to talk about to see if you guys had saw any movies this weekend. I saw the William Dafoe movie, which I want to make sure I get the name of this one correct because I know it's like a very short name film that just came out. God, what was the name of that movie?
It's not Inside, is it?
I think it is Inside. Yeah, Inside. That's
Okay.
the name of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw this movie because when I saw the preview for it and I read what it was about, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe this could be like one of the like sleeper hits of the year because going into this, it's a very bare bones movie. I think it's basically just like him and like maybe one other person that's like in the film. So it's very it's very raw movie. The setup for the film is essentially he's an art thief who's trying to rob someone who he believes to be out of town. He's in like a big like New York City penthouse. type apartment. Something goes wrong. He gets locked into the apartment and he can't leave. Right, so whatever contact he has isn't gonna come and get him. He's just there like on his own. So he's stuck on like the 110th floor of this massive apartment with no way to get out. So he's trying to climb out through like the vents. He has to like scrounge for food because obviously the owner didn't like put any food or water there because he wasn't expecting to be there. So it's literally just a survival film in a New York City penthouse, and he's like slowly going like insane throughout the course of the movie. It's pretty intriguing for like the first half of the movie because there's still like an element of mystery about what exactly is going on, because they kind of like tease a little bit that this was almost so well planned that maybe the guy who owns the place knew he was coming and maybe he set him up. So they thought it made it seem like there was like another part to the story that wasn't being told here that we were waiting for. The problem is by the time you get to the third act, it just drags on way too long and you're kind of waiting for that big reveal and then you never get it. And that was really, really disappointing because that could have been a really, really good film had they have gone all in on essentially the premise, but they kind of just leave it open to interpretation, as we like to call it. But those type of films, like, you got to have something, some kind of meat to it. You can't do like a style over substance type thing where you're dealing with a guy who's basically trapped in a room by himself, and he is the entire movie. Like, he's the only character in this film. It's like him, and there's like a maid that like cleans the hallways that he's kind of have like, some kind of like infatuation with throughout the course of the movie, but that really doesn't go anywhere yet either. So you're kind of waiting for something to be revealed. Like, was he set up? Is this guy who he's robbing like a complete psychopath? Is he into something really, really dark? You just never really get it. So it's almost a good movie, but I don't think I can really truly recommend it to everyone. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'd probably give it like, I say a 3 out of 5 is fair, maybe a 2.5 if I'm being more fair on that line. But that's pretty much the best I have for that film. Did any of you guys check anything out this weekend?
Well, that movie you're just talking about, Jacob, actually sounds a lot like this movie, The Perfect Host, with David Hyde Pierce, his name, the actor from Frasier. Where he a criminal's on the run, and he basically like just breaks into this guy's house and takes him hostage, and then like slowly but surely the tables get turned, where he doesn't realize he's been poisoned, and like he becomes the captive, and David Hyde Pierce is like a serial killer. You know, so it's just like one of the situations where you don't realize like the person you're preying on is the predator. So it doesn't sound like that Inside necessarily has that element to it, but Willem Dafoe's a good actor, so I'll generally check out anything he's in. But I watched 18 movies this weekend from Friday to Sunday, so I did nothing else. I didn't have anything to do. So I saw Ghost Dog for the first time, the Jim Jarmusch movie with Forrest Whitaker. I thought that was pretty good. It definitely left a memorable impact. I like that they used a lot of like the secondary Italian sort of like mafia characters from Scorsese movies to sort of fill out the role of the antagonist. So I thought it was just a really quality, good movie from the late 90s. I saw this movie called The New Centurions, which is like this sort of gritty 70s movie with Stacey Keach and George C. Scott. It has a really like 70s tragic ending that I like quite a bit. Scream 6 I saw, which was fucking awful. Easily.
Okay, so let's pause there for a second, because obviously you guys saw, if you were here last week or 2 weeks ago, one of the two, well, I gave my review for Scream 6. These two hadn't seen the movie yet. I called it the second horse movie I've seen so far this year, next to House Party. So did my review live up to the expectation of exactly how bad the film was?
Yeah, when I was on the show last week, I was in disbelief how bad it was from what you were saying. Now that I've seen it, I maybe think you weren't harsh enough, just because it's so bad on so many levels. Like yes, it is ridiculous that the villain is basically someone the police should have investigated in the first place. You know, like there's a lot of just problems anyway, but the characters were annoying and dumb, and just made some of the worst decisions that you could. And I get it, horror movies are supposed to be filled with these situations, but even for that trope, it was immeasurably stupid.
It was trying to be like, here's the thing, I couldn't even give it credit for being like the campy, self-aware type of horror movie like the first one is, because this is Scream 6. Like we've done this so many times now that I can't even give you guys the benefit of the doubt of being self-aware anymore. Like the first one was self-aware because it was being a parody of the entire genre. This is, you guys are just doing a cash grab here, so I'm not gonna give you the same benefit of the doubt as that first movie.
Yeah, and it keeps making money. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that the relatively small budgets, and you only need to make 80 to 100, excuse me, 80 million to 100 million to deem it profitable or a success. That's fine. I'm amazed that so many people go up to these movies and they don't see the same problems or issues, or they don't think it's monumentally stupid, because I just couldn't get past that, where it was like it wasn't entertaining, and like the ideas that they put on display were so incredibly stupid.
Yeah, because they're rehashing the exact same. Like, I know somebody had mentioned that basically the last Scream film was a retread of the first one, and then this one was basically a retread of the second Scream movie, but somehow made less sense than the second one did. So I'm pretty sure when they do the next movie, Scream, was it, where we're at 7 now, when that one comes out, it'll just be a retread of 3. And we'll just keep on going to this never-ending circle of remakes of shitty horror films. So,
well, I don't. Somebody was joking, I think, but they put this meme of Scream 7 is in space, and I just like, I listen. There's other franchises that have gone to space that shouldn't be there, so I'm not gonna say it's not. And horror movies, that's not a new thing for horror movies. There's plenty of like franchises that have gone to space. Jason, Critters, what, etc. But it's just like, please just stop. Yeah. Just stop making these movies, please.
Here's the thing: Double Fit says the main villain is a cop working inside the FBI, and somehow no one goes undetected. Even worse than that, the villain is a cop who is the father of her boyfriend from the last movie, and she didn't have no idea who he was, had no idea who her brother was, had no idea who her sister was. So she was in a big relationship with this guy and had never seen a single member of his family the entire time that they were dating, because when the big reveal happens towards the end, she has no idea who any of these people actually were. Which is like, how do you that I don't know, distracted, maybe just not paying attention, dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm sick of Jenny Ortega personally. Like, I'm just sick of seeing her everywhere. And listen, like, I'm not trying. I think she's a cute girl. However, I don't think that her face is going to age well, because she has that, like, and Rick, please forgive me, or maybe you know what I'm talking about, but like, she has the face of like an old Mexican woman, where like I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but like, as Hispanic women grow older, there's a feature that seems to in the cheeks that seem to set in. But again, I'm probably out of.
Well, not only that, she's like, what, 4'11" and like 110 pounds. So I mean, if she ever gains any weight too, it's just not going to be a good situation all around.
Yeah. Well, I would argue that Madame Pinot is well preserved for a woman in her like almost 60. So I'm trying to think of what other Mexican women there are.
Yeah.
Does Selena Gomez count? Is she one of you?
Yes, we do take her, but she's like in her early 30s maybe? I don't know how old she is.
I mean, it's Hollywood. I mean, early 30s could be like early 50s and druggier, so who knows?
Oh gosh.
I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard the Amanda Bynes story today. How apparently she was thrown back into the wacko basket because they found her walking down the street naked in L.A. again. So it's like, it's not funny, but I heard like she was supposed to do like a reunion with like the All That cast yesterday at like one of the little Comic-Con events somewhere in like the Southwest, but I guess she no-showed. So then come to find out why she no-showed, it was like, oh yeah, well that makes a lot of sense. So.
Well, she's not setting things on fire, so I mean, there's a step forward.
Do you think LA might not be a good environment for somebody that's trying to sort of like become sane again, or just get back to reality?
Dude, here's the thing with just Hollywood in general. So many of these people know that Hollywood, LA is just not a good town for them to be in, just for their mental being and so many other issues, but they just can't move away like from that area. Like they just can't move to a kind of a nowhere state and a quiet life and just like kind of live in peace. They all have to hang on to whatever was left in the past, and that doesn't help matters at all. So I don't even know what to say about that one. I mean, it's just going to be a revolving door of people where that's going to happen to over the next couple of years. But yeah, quick little note. Eva Mendes is Cuban, so she is not one of Rick's people. They do not claim her over there. So I know Japan's playing Mexico right now. By the way, you're muted. No one can hear you. I know Japan's playing Mexico right now. I really hope Japan wins. Just throwing that out there as well.
Oh, you're awful. But isn't Eva Longoria Mexican?
Yeah,
So we'll see how she turns out.
yeah. And then Penelope Cruz, isn't she like Spanish? I don't think she's
Yeah,
Mexican either.
no,
So.
no, she's a Spaniard. Yes.
Yes, okay. So so Spencer was like 1 for 3 out of that whole group there. So, but no, this is going back to the Scream 6 point. How when I posted, I guess when you guys posted the review on Twitter, everyone just absolutely lost their mind because all they read was the headline of my review, and they read the very first sentence, which was spoiler alert: the white guy is the killer. And that's the only thing that they read, and decided to just go on a complete diatribe about, oh, you think that just because the white guy's the killer, that makes it woke? It's like, no, idiot, you didn't read anything about the review outside of the very first line. And then, of course, last week on the show, I showed you that one of the guys that was responding to me literally admitted that he didn't even read the review, and he was going on for like 1,700 tweets about a review that he didn't even read. But this is the level of people that we're dealing with now. So.
And that
Yeah.
explains why they keep making these movies, because the people who like them don't have to think. They just consume product, get excited for next product.
But here's the thing, like, even as somebody who I can listen, we can sit here and talk about how bad the Scream franchise is, but the first 4 movies, okay, I can sit down at home, watch those movies, and still think they're relatively fun as like engaging slasher movies, as like surprises, things that jump out at you, but dumb fun, but still fun, things that engage with the audience and keep things relatively like, okay, we know which direction we're going in, and we kind of know what to expect, but it's still something that's entertaining. I can sit there and watch the first 4 Scream movies and I'm like, okay, they're bad or they're crap, but at least they entertain on a certain level. I can't say that about Scream 5 or Scream 6. They are completely derived from being entertaining, interesting, characters you care about. They just seem like carbon copies of one another, want to like project that whole, toxic fan bullshit. Yeah. And I'm just not interested. Like, if you're going to go that meta, I'm not interested. Like, what the original Scream did, okay, that's the start of that idea.
It's not even meta, though. You're just biting off the shit that they did 30 years ago with the first movie, so you're not even being meta or original.
So
like the whole character that kind of like fourth wall breaks about the rules of like horror. Like, we did this already. It's like, this isn't new. You're just retreading it with a more woke avatar, essentially.
Yeah, and they used what's her face, like the girl. And listen, I don't think she's a bad actress, but the black girl that they used from The Leftovers and from Scream 5, I don't know her name. I'm sorry, but like how they made her a poster child for being like, what, I don't even know, non-binary, or what, like her clothing, and like how she was kind of like a bitch to that dude who like asked about her clothes.
She was like a woke billboard, basically.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, why are we doing this? Why are we cheerleading for like teenagers to buy our product? Because that's what you're doing. You're basically being like, hey, we care about you.
Oh, you didn't also, just real quick, you didn't like the part where they were tasing that guy in the nuts because he was trying to take home a girl that he was drunker than, but they were trying to make it seem like he was the one that was taking advantage of her.
Yeah, that was weird that they threw that in there, because Jenny Ortega's character was like, wanted to go with him. Yeah, she wanted to fuck around with this dude, and then she's also like into the other dude throughout the movie.
They made it very they made it very clear that she wasn't being taken advantage of, yet they were still tasing him in the nuts anyway, because no, you're still the bad guy here. It's like,
maybe it was more of a Samantha like character trope, like she's protective of her little sister. I don't, you know what I mean? And it's such a lame way to do that. It's like, okay, that's not, if a dude did that, it would be fucked up, or out of line or whatever. So it makes no sense where it's like, I have to be hyper aggressive in this instance to show my dominant or something. It's very weird coded behavior.
Yeah, it's also what they call complete nonsense. So
Yes.
go ahead, Rick.
I have no opinion on any of this because I haven't seen anything really. I don't remember anything past Scream 2. Maybe Scream 3. I think I might have seen Scream 3, but it's my memory that I have. I can't remember what happened there. After that, why would I want to take up my time and watch something that I have no interest in and just not care. I am though fascinated why neither of you seem to enjoy this in a kind of camp way, because come on, uh, the Wonder Twins get stabbed like 800 times, and they both survive, and nobody in these movies asks, "How did you survive?" It's like, I'm just
You literally got stabbed in the gut 3 times on the train, and you come back at the very end, just running towards the camera as if you experienced no medical attention whatsoever. It's like,
so I mean, it'd be good for either of you to just ask people who leave the theater, like, you liked it? Yes. Why? What did you find appealing? Did you not notice that these people were stabbed repeatedly and survived? Oh yeah, but if they survive, how are they going to come out in the next movie?
it's essentially them going, "Hey, you didn't realize this film sucked."
Pretty much. Pretty much.
I mean, you
It'd be
do have
fun.
audiences that will tell you they don't care, they don't want to think, like they just enjoy going to the
Just turn
theater,
your brain
seeing
off,
people
bro.
be chased on a screen, and it's like, I, I don't know. I feel like it's their prerogative. I'm not going to shame people who don't want to think,
Yeah.
but it's just like it's just so hard for me to like stomach how bad these movies are, and then how much money they make at the box office.
I had
Well,
a
but
similar
that's the difference,
experience
though.
with.
Like, just
Okay.
real quick, is like I know like we all have like a movie that we can admit is a bad movie, but we still enjoy it. But we also don't try to pretend like the movie's good either. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah, yeah, and I got completely bashed by you guys for that. I
there's
had
a
a
reason.
similar, yeah, I have a because you all love me, I know, because I had a similar experience when I would complain about things that I thought were wrong about Sherlock, the TV show, and I would say, well, this doesn't make sense. Oh well, I don't care, because oh, I just love Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh, it's the most clever. It's better than the original stories. Going, well, no. I mean, did you ever read them? No, because he can't be as good as Sherlock. But it doesn't make any sense. There's no logic to it. Oh, but no. Oh, I love the interplay. I mean, why you people are insane? I mean, really, you don't think. But no, I mean, yeah, some people just generally don't care that it doesn't make any sense. They just, for whatever reason, let it wash over them, and they think, "Oh, this is wonderful." And I guess this is the same thing with the Scream movies. They watch them, they don't care. They leave logic out of it, and they just enjoy for I don't know. I can't
just
explain it to
consume
you.
product.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much, which is kind of sad, because if you're going to invest your time in a franchise, and I'm sad that Scream became a franchise, but if you're going to spend time in a franchise, at least have some consistency, and try to figure out why something works, why something doesn't work. If you're just going to sit there and watch all these people get stabbed, and maybe subconsciously know that nothing's going to happen to them, so you don't have to worry about them, then that kind of takes the suspense out of it. And this has happened in a lot of movies and television shows where you know that the person's coming back. So there's no point for you to get worked up, except I guess in was it Infinity War, where people were openly sobbing as all these people became disintegrated, and I said, "Why are you crying? You know they're coming back." But oh, but it's so sad. I mean, but it's not sad if you know they're coming back. There's no logic to it.
Yeah, it's just it's stupid TV. It's like the MTV of current movie generation, right? It's almost like this is the cinematic equivalent of like a Jersey Shore. It's like it's trashy, it's shitty TV that everyone loves for no good reason. So yeah, this is where we're at now. But before we get into our feature film here, we're gonna have to go ahead and have this debate because this is something that we were probably supposed to do about 3 weeks ago. We kept pushing it back, so now we're here. Now we don't have much excuses, so let's get into it. The Nice Guys. This whole thing started because Rob said that he absolutely hated this movie, and this is a movie that I absolutely love. So I figured this would be a good movie to argue about for a few minutes. So, Rob, go ahead and make your case because you saw this one earlier today, so it's fresher in your mind than it is in mine. So, why do you hate Shane Black so much, bro?
Yeah, I hate Shane Black for probably reasons that are not going to be bared in this review take
In a public setting.
Yeah, look, I don't like Shane Black because he tends to go with the whole like buddy cop shtick. He's I believe I don't know if he wrote the Lethal Weapon movies or if I don't think he directed because I think that was Richard Donner.
No, he just wrote the first two. Yeah.
And I know he was responsible for that terrible Predators movie that came out a couple years ago. Maybe that wasn't his fault. Maybe the studio interfered or something. But look, I think Nice Guys has a lot of really good qualities. I think that has really good costuming, and I think it brings the 1970s of Los Angeles alive, and certainly puts in that world of easy drugs, sex, the porn ring that's at the center of it. What I don't like about it is the sort of like jokey nature while all these serious things are happening. Like you have people that are dying, seriously injured. You have a car literally flying through a house in the opening scene, which again, like all this stuff that's happening is over the top, is fun and engaging, but I can't really take it that seriously. And the movie wants you to at least be involved with the whole like convoluted plot of like corrupt politicians and this pornography ring, and there's all these characters, and it's such a pastiche of a certain 1970s detective private investigator movie like The Long Goodbye, some things like even The Big Lebowski sort of commented on that 20 years later, but it's just a silly movie. It's just something that I have trouble kind of getting my arms around. But I will say, when I was rewatching it today, it did make me laugh. In the opening part of it, and it has more to offer than most movies do these days. So I can say that. Just its sensibility kind of annoys the shit out of me. The Ryan Gosling character, especially. But I can't say it's without its charm. And certainly I can understand why people like it.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I'm not, let's put it this way, the biggest Shane Black fan out there. I like Lethal Weapon just as much as the next person, but this is also the guy responsible for Iron Man 3, The Predators, Long Kiss Goodnight, which is a movie that I have a very big problem with, which I'll explain on another show. But so I'm not the biggest Shane Black fan whatsoever. But this movie was probably the only movie of his that really clicked with me on a lot of levels. Now, a little backstory here. Before I started the site back in 2016, like before I started officially doing reviews, I had met a Warner Brothers executive. We'll just call her an executive for now. But I met her at one of the events that I was hosting back in San Diego at the time, and she actually hooked me up with tickets to go see the premiere of this film about a month or so before it actually like hit theater. So it was like the first premiere for like a movie that I attended back at the time, because I wasn't really doing like the movie thing like full time yet. So I actually got to see this in a private screening with like a bunch of people, and I watched this movie, and everything that I saw on screen, I liked. Like, I like the chemistry between like Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. Obviously, Gosling's playing like the goofball, cornball character, while Russell's more like the straight man, like in the group. I like the story behind it. I like the chemistry. The fact that, like I said, it's a movie set in like the 1970s, so there's a lot of aesthetics behind it that I think worked for the film. And what we were saying about Scream, how it tries to be meta, it tries to be quirky. Like, how could you not like it in a corny level? here's my thing with movies like that. If you're gonna be corny, if there's gonna be a movie that we're not supposed to take seriously, you have to set that tone very, very early, right? And I think with a film like this, you'll see like the first couple of minutes, and you'll see like the character that Ryan Gosling plays, like when he's sitting in his car and he's like trying to shave his beard with the electric shaver and cuts his face. It's like those little scenes like that tells you, okay, so this is gonna be like a more comedic tone. It's not gonna be a super serious movie, but it has a good story to be told here. So you have to set those kind of tones early. I think this film did that. And like I said, it's the chemistry of those two that sell the film. It's the whole like mystery of like the who done it, because if you don't know the storyline here, they're investigating the disappearance of a missing porn star, which leads into an investigation about corruption, whether the city is involved, and you find out that the porn stars did a protest film, quote unquote, which exposed a lot of like real world details about how the city was working behind the scenes with a lot of like corrupt individuals. So they were like, we have to kill everyone associated with this film and bury the film, because they're actually telling some truths here that we don't want anyone to know about, and that's how you end up getting into the film. I like the characters in this film. We talked about what's her name, McDowell.
Yeah.
What's her name? What's her name? Her daughter's in the film.
Her name.
Yeah, her daughter's in the film, and like I said, it's one of the few roles I've actually liked her in this movie. Yeah,
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah, there we go. Andrea Rice, who plays Ryan Gosling's daughter, I think was a good bit of chemistry there with her as well. So, I mean, this is one of those like movies where I'm more of a character-driven person. Like, if you're not going to focus on kind of like the bare bones of like filmmaking and keep things very simple, very character-driven, like these are the type of films that I tend to bond with more. Which, if you watch any of my best and worst of movies of the list, especially my best in the list, it's a lot of character-driven stuff. Like the movie that I would have went all in on last year was a film called Pearl, which not too many people saw. It didn't get great award recognition, but I thought it was a great character study film, because that's kind of the level that I look at it. I don't really get distracted by the blue screen CGI like anymore, like a lot of the casual moviegoers go. Like, I'm looking for something with a little more bite to it, and I found it in this movie. And like I said, for all of Shane Black's, I'm going to say that his style of filmmaking, where it's too dry at certain points, and then it's just a complete and utter like mess. Especially when he tries to do too much with too many characters, like in that Predator movie, which was absolutely horrible, by the way. But like I said, no, this one for me was one of my favorite films. It was very close to almost giving it a 5-star. I didn't want to go all the way in on 5-star, but I give it a very, very strong 4.5 rating. I watched it back maybe like a few weeks ago to see, well, it was giving it a little too much praise. It's like, no, I think it's still strongly with there for me. So I enjoy this film. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I don't have any quarrels against anyone who doesn't like Shane Black as a filmmaker or as a person. For that matter, because I mean, there was a lot of shady things going on that last movie, which is why, if you notice, he hasn't exactly worked on a film in the last 5 years, because he got a lot of heat for that Predator movie. Not just what happened behind the scenes. I mean, not just happened on front of the camera, but apparently he hired someone who was a convicted sexual predator and had him on the film, and then Olivia Munn exposed that, and then the film got torpedoed with negative reviews. And like I said, I don't think he's worked on a film since then, so that was probably a bad play for him, even though there's a bunch of things that are in pre-production. But I mean, pre-production don't really mean anything until you start filming. That's what I usually say about movies. So yeah, Nice Guys, probably the best Shane Black movie I've seen. I can say that pretty strongly, so go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's interesting that Mel Gibson was attached to direct Lethal Weapon 5 last year, and I think it's interesting that Shane Black has been having a hard time getting jobs. It'd be interesting to see them actually kind of do a comeback with that. Maybe neither one's interested in that, but I think that sounds interesting just as a prospect. But yeah, a lot of these detective movies it's funny because like the pastiche they're talking about, it's usually a loner detective. You know what I mean? It's not a pair of cops. And so I kind of think that's interesting. And a lot of those movies are character driven. They're not really focused on the plot necessarily, just because the plot is almost purposefully convoluted. Like, it's purposefully like the big sleep, and these things where it's like, I don't know that you're supposed to figure it out, but they also they take the steps to sort of reveal that throughout the runtime. And so there's a lot of good actors. There's a lot of good talent on the screen. There's funny moments. I probably would give it a 3 out of 5. Just I probably want to give it one more rewatch because I'm one of those people. I'll change my mind depending on like how many times I've seen something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not always, but I do like to go back and rewatch things.
I did that a couple of times last year with movies that like I hated so much that I didn't even like finish it. And then I was like, okay, let me go back and finish the movie and see if I still feel that way. And there was some films that I gave a slightly better score to watching it on a full run, and then some movies would just it pretty much earned exactly what I gave it. Let's put it that way. So Rick, you're supposed to be our middleman here, but you didn't watch the movie. So what do you have to contribute to this?
Actually, I did watch it.
Oh, okay, then we'll go ahead.
I don't know why you. I mean, I watched it purposely so that I would be able to discuss this, and I'm going to say that I'm probably in the did not like column. So what I found about The Nice Guys is that it was too quippy. It was fully aware that you know they're going to try to be witty and funny when they're discussing things. Like when they're when they're at the bar and they're having that conversation with the bartender trying to get the information, then they go up in the elevator and when they're negotiating the price, they're always trying to come off as oh, well, they're discussing mundane things as all this craziness is going on around them, and I'm going, that's very predictable. That's not unique. That's not original. I watched. I thought, oh well, here's another movie where the daughter is obviously smarter than her dim-witted husband, Ryan Gosling.
Dad.
Yeah. Ryan Gosling again is always trying too hard to be funny. It's like he's fully aware. It's almost as if he knows that this is supposed to be funny, so he tries to play it as if it were funny. We're supposed to laugh. The kind of a weird thing here that reminds me of when Katharine Hepburn tried to do a comedy. What was it, the Bringing Up Baby? And Howard Hawks had to tell her the point of comedy is that you're not aware, or the character is not aware that it's funny. You have to play it that way, because she would always stop, and after she'd say a funny line, she would stop to wait for a laugh. But that's not how you're supposed to play comedy. Ryan Gosling always plays it like he's supposed to stop and wait for a laugh, but he's trying too hard. I didn't think it was funny. I don't think I laughed. I think sometimes I was rather horrified, like when they finally kill the girl because she's stupid enough to run off and find the first guy to try to stop, and like I wouldn't. It's supposed to be.
Well, I mean, she was a democratic socialist, so it was proven that she wasn't very bright. So just throw that out. It is consistent with her character. So
yeah, but it's like I'm supposed to feel something, but I don't feel anything when she's killed. And then when the daughter comes in and she throws the cold coffee on the villainess, because of course the villainess is also stupid, and she like rather not just kill them right then and there, she has to start rambling. What is it, monologuing? Something that they made fun of in The Incredibles. She has to also try to see how stupid two guys are, and then the daughter comes in, throws the coffee. Is like, oh, I thought it was going to be hot. It's like, I'm going, that's too obvious. It's too obvious. It's too obvious. And when a movie is obvious in its delivery for me, I don't find it funny. I don't think it's clever, and I don't. After five, I resisted. I did not want to see this movie. You two forced me to see it, metaphorically.
I didn't want to see it.
Well, no, you two forced me to see it because you, Rob, had to talk about how awful it was.
First of all, let's stop with this whole "we force you to watch a movie." When we tell you outright to watch a movie, you won't watch it.
Reason. No. Yeah, cállense ustedes dos. This is what happened.
I don't like Shane Black. I mean, this movie certainly has its issues, but like I don't. It's fine. Among his other work, this is certainly the best I've seen. But
you found it. Right. Look, this is what happened. You, Rob, had to tell the world that this is one of the terrible movies. Jacob had to come and rally to its defense and
Mhm.
praise it as like the Citizen Kane of buddy cop films. So as both of you are fighting it out, I'm like, oh, all right, let's just see what the big deal is. And again, this is a movie that I had purposely avoided because so many people were like Jacob. They thought this was brilliant and hilarious, and it's like
Uh-huh. I
it's
was the same way.
the height of great comedy. So when I finally saw it, I'm sitting there pretty much stone faced, thinking, why do people like it? And there's this really curious cult around the nice guys, and obviously the title is supposed to be ironic, but it's like people wanted a sequel. I'm going, no, I don't want a sequel. I don't think this is funny. I think it's too obvious. That was my big issue with this movie. The Nice Guys is just too obvious when it's trying to be clever and quippy and funny. And I can see all these things coming at me a mile away. Like when they're at that not Playboy Mansion, but at that kind of big party. It's like you're fully aware of what's going to happen. Oh, I'm looking at the mermaid. It's like, oh, I was following the mermaid. He falls, and they find his body, and it's like they're too busy trying to argue about, you know, what were you doing here? Why do you have a gun? How could you be so stupid? And we're going, there's a body here, and yes, I know it's supposed to be funny, but it just doesn't work for me because again, it's too obvious. You're trying too hard, and I don't think Ryan Gosling is funny. He's always very, even when he's trying to be funny, he comes across as too stoic. Russell Crowe, yeah, I mean, I guess he was fine, but I was thoroughly unimpressed. And I just again don't get the cult around this movie. I don't get why so many people think that it is hilarious, and they're laughing themselves. Like, why? This isn't funny. But
So I take it you took exception to the Nixon bit because you were actually around when Nixon was president. So
Nixon now, I can sing you the song if you like.
please don't.
But Nixon now, Nixon now.
Okay. So you want to talk about the Shazam movie now, or we've had enough of this Shane Black conversation?
Yeah.
All right, then I guess we can hop over to the movie that we all came here to review tonight, which is Shazam: Fury of the Gods. So there's a lot to this film. This was supposed to come out
there?
last November. Well, I mean, not the film itself. Let's put the story behind the film. Let's put it that way. Last November, this film was supposed to come out, and then DC decided, and the Warner Brothers announced this. Remember, they said, "Hey, look, we can't afford to promote Shazam properly, so we're gonna push this back to March. That way, we can promote Don't Worry, Darling and Black Adam." So this film was a casualty of Warner Brothers deciding to promote Don't Worry, Darling over this film. And I'm pretty sure that was a brilliant decision on their end because this was, oh boy, there was a lot of issues here with this movie.
Well, they needed to do something to promote your generation's Gene Kelly.
Yeah, and look how well that ended up. So, I mean, let's be honest. All three of these movies that we're talking about from Warner Brothers, none of them did well. I mean, even Black Adam was considered a big disappointment, even though it almost did 400 million. This film, the way that it's going right now, it probably won't even hit 150 million. In all honesty, I mean, this one's pretty much dead on the vine. And then the other problem is that with James Gunn coming over and taking over this entire universe, you've pretty much told people, hey, look, these last couple of DC movies that we're doing, this one, The Flash, Aquaman, it really doesn't mean anything. Like, these films really don't have any weight to them. They're not going to mean anything. We're going to reboot all this anyway. So what is the motivation for anyone to leave their house, go to a movie theater, and watch these movies? Like, you don't have anything. And that got reflected this weekend because no one came out and saw Shazam 2, even though it's a big superhero movie.
Well, is it a big superhero movie? Because Shazam's never been like a big name.
Well, I'm trying to look at the numbers for the first one to see just how bad this one did in relation with the first movie. So the first film did about 366 million worldwide, and that one had like a budget of about 100 million. So it wasn't a massive box office success with those numbers, but did turn a profit, and 366 is way more than what they're going to be making this time around. I mean, people fundamentally rejected Shazam 2 from the jump.
Well, no,
it's like they had this one in the chamber when James Gunn like took over as head of DC Entertainment or whatever the title is.
Yeah.
So I feel like they just had this one. They were like, we don't really believe in this, but we got to release it because, you know, we'll lose too much money if we don't, I guess. But
they didn't believe in Batgirl.
I don't know. But my point is that like I think they had to, like, regardless of what the movie was, what the finished product was, they had to release it. Whether that's, you know, fair or not, I don't know. But it just, you know, it doesn't seem like they believed in it, but they kind of had, you know, a rotten egg on their hands. So, not saying the future's going to be any better, but you know, Shazam 2 was part of the old regime anyway, right?
I don't know, but I don't see a future for Shazam in any real capacity, especially if it's not going to be part of whatever great plan they had for tying all these superhero films together. Because it's like, it was, I mean, really, I know we'll talk about this later. What they did with that big name that came out in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the first time we saw it, I was horrified in more ways than one.
Yeah. So, and Rick, can you answer this question?
I'll try my best.
What is this movie's obsession with teenage boys and very old women? I mean, seriously, it was just like, what is, like, do you guys have a fetish you're playing out here? Like, what's going on?
So we have to like start looking into the producers of this film to find some patterns that we were not too happy about. I mean, it did seem to be like a rolling theme with this film. So before we get started here, who actually watched the first Shazam movie? Like, do you guys watch the first one and remember the first one? So
yeah,
when I watched,
they raved about it, and it wasn't that good.
I just thought it was an average superhero movie. Like, there was really nothing exciting about the first one.
Yeah, it was passable. I don't remember much about it. I mean, bits and pieces, but nothing great.
So right out of the gate here, we're moving on to one of the biggest problems with this film is that even though this is a Shazam movie with Shazam in the title, this movie is really about Shazam's secondary, not so over characters. Where now it's not just, you know, one superhero versus one villain. We have about 7 superheroes in this film, and then on top of that, we also have about 3 villains in this movie as well, which means that there's no concise narrative to this film at all. Like, everything's all over the place because we spend so much time away from Shazam. We spend so much time away from, what was his name, Bobby, whatever his name is, that we don't even Billy. Yeah, Billy, that we don't even really focus much on him because we have to pull focus away from his best friend trying to hook up with a 3,000-year-old lady who looks like a 16-year-old girl, and we have to go into the whole thing with these 2 older broads as well. So,
hey,
let's talk about. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say, if you're going to focus, of course you're going to focus on Freddie Freeman.
Yeah. That had to have been a joke. That had to have been an inside joke on somebody back there. Like, they could. There's no way that wasn't on purpose. When I think about that.
No, I'm sorry. And I put this out on Twitter. Every time they mention the character's name, I just burst out laughing because I'm going Freddie Freeman. And then at the end, when they had the credits and it said Freddie Freeman, I was just howling, and these people next to me were just staring at me. Like, I had to explain, oh yeah, it was because it's the same name as a baseball player. It's pretty well known who played for Team Canada. So
yeah, sorry, I undersold just how old she was in the movie. So,
but it just, I just kept thinking it was hilarious. I know it wasn't intentional. And I think Robin asked me, like, was it like one of those alliterative names? And I figure it was, but it just struck me as hilarious that they would just keep calling him Freddie Freeman. And just kind of real quick, I know that Adam Brody's actually like maybe a year older than Zachary Levi, but Adam Brody looks much older. I was shocked, like, how old is this man? It's like I thought it was like 48,
Yeah, because
47.
Zachary's like 42, I believe.
Yeah,
So
and Anna Brody's I think 43.
yeah.
So like, boy, he looked much older. I was
And that's
shocked.
another disconnect with this movie because, like, this is kind of the same syndrome with Spider-Man. We all shit on Spider-Man for this. So, you have in the film Zachary Levi playing at the character at the time is like 17 years old, about to go on 18. That's like the running joke of the entire movie. But he's still playing him as if he's 6 years old. Like we're still portraying or like late teenagers as if they're toddlers throughout the entire movie. We did this with Spider Boy and Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider Man in all the MCU films, where he's supposed to be a teenager, but he's like, "Hey, remember that really old movie Jurassic Park?" We're still doing like that old thing. We're still doing that here with this movie. It's like, look, you do realize you're 6 months away from being tried as an adult, right? Like you do realize that, like this isn't elementary school. You're in like
That
high school.
that was a big problem for me because the first Shazam, Billy Batson is supposed to be somewhere between 12 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, his immaturity makes sense. But here I thought you are almost 18 and you're still behaving like you're 12.
Yeah.
I think that was a problem with the writing and just not there's no focus on the fact that they try to build up this drama like, oh, you're going to age out of the foster care system and it's going to be terrible. But as someone who like I know he keeps his identity secret as one of the Philly fiascos, but I mean it doesn't make any sense. You would have a certain level of maturity. I blame the writers. I don't blame Levi completely because that's the part that he was given to play and he played it, but at a certain point I wish he would have pushed back and said, "You know what? My character is almost an adult. Why do you have him still be so brainless and such a moron and expecting these big moments?" And kind of like a little tangent here. If he had seen all the Fast and Furious movies, why does he not recognize like the chief goddess? I'm going, was that some sort of inside joke that I missed? Remember he said, I've seen all the Fast and Furious movies. And he's telling this to Helen Mirren, who has been in those Fast and Furious movies. So I was thinking, yeah, was this, maybe I'm giving them too much credit by thinking, is this some kind of in joke? But like,
So the setup here of this film is that you have two sisters, which we later find out is three, but you have Lucy Liu and Hera Millen who come back from who knows where they've been, but this entire time I don't think it was really explained where they were, but they show up and they steal the wizard's staff that was broken in half at the end of the first movie. And with the staff, they can basically steal back the powers that the wizard gave to all the Shazam kids and use that for world domination because they really, really hate humans because they're gods and gods just hate humans. That's just the way that it is, right?
I
Isn't that what they teach you in church, Rick?
guess. Well, no.
Yeah, so it said wouldn't Mary transforming to a superhero just looks yeah, like that it's weird how she's like literally the only person in the entire film. Keep in mind she's not that much older than Billy in the movie, but she's like the only person who actually like plays like the same character. Like she doesn't have like an older counterpart to her while everyone else does, which is I don't know how that works in DC Magic Land. So
Yeah, and I think well, you see, the problem is also that uh, Daria or Danya, whatever, the little girl, she seems to be pretty much the same age. I was not clear as to how old Freddie Freeman was, and Eugene and uh, the Hispanic kid. I don't know. I don't know how old they're supposed to be in this. It's very confusing because you think the Daria is supposed to be a little older, but she seems to be the same age. Although I don't know.
because stuff that's why. I mean, that's literally what it is. Like they show like the scene of the ending of the film where he just breaks it in half, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess I just left it there. Like I probably should have taken that so that way the people can just come up and like steal it out of museums.
Well,
So, oops.
it's interesting that they showed that clip after the opening where the very eager tour guide is mentioning how it was found broken in half in some sort of dumpster in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So
That's just how priceless artifacts that can bring out the end of the world are. Just throw them in a dumpster behind the Phillies game.
yeah, it was terrible. I mean, I just kept saying, "Oh, Freddie Freeman can't get into Citizens Bank Park. Freddie Freeman can't get into Citizens Bank Park."
So,
Why do you find that funny? Like, it's such a
like, keep in mind, he just went on a rant about how dumb things don't make him laugh, and then he's like giggling like a school child about Citizen Banks Park.
it's not
I don't know
funny. It's
because
just a coincidence. That's all it is.
I know it's a coincidence, but it
Okay.
just seems so dumb to me. Hey, look, I find
Keep in
my
mind, this
laugh
man
right
poo
at-
pooed all over the nice guys and then giggled like a schoolgirl over Elvira. So I just wanted to throw that out there for a
Hey,
code of reference.
but like you said, I don't pretend Elvira is a good movie. I enjoy it, but I don't pretend that it's a good movie, and I don't say that. Oh, yes, this is a great comedy. So there's a difference, Jacob. See, there's a difference.
Well, so here's kind of like the breakdown of this film. So we're dealing with not just Shazam, but we're dealing with all of the secondary Shazam characters, which I believe is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's at least 6 of them, right? So it's not just one Superman level hero in this film. There's essentially 7 of them, and they because there's 7 of them now, they have to feel like they have to give everyone kind of like equal screen time, which really hurts the narrative of a film where you're giving 6 characters, 6 heroes screen time on top of 3 villains as well, and then you get to a point where there's like 20-minute stretches of the film where you're like, isn't this a Shazam movie? Like, isn't this supposed to be about like him? It's like I haven't seen him in a while. I almost forgot that he was here, that he has any importance like whatsoever. But I want to talk about this part real quick because this was something that was talked about in the weeks leading up to this. This whole thing about, hey guys, we're gonna have a gay character. We're really gonna give him a lot of shine in this film. And essentially, what they did is they did the same thing that they did in Ambulance. It's like it was a scene in the very beginning of the film that implies that the character is gay because they're talking about baseball, and he's sitting there with his little magazine, looking at other guys, be like, "Oh yeah, no, I really like this sport now," and that's to imply that the character is gay, right? That way they can get that little scene in there, and they can be like, "See, glad we actually have gay representation in this movie now." So don't mark us off as a bad company when you do your end of year representation list. That's the only reason why that scene was even in the film. You could cut that out entirely. It affects absolutely nothing about the entirety of this movie at all. So, and it didn't. He brought this up. If you watched our Bounding in the Comics, me and John talked about this earlier this afternoon. Because they tried to front load that representation as if it was actually meaningful when it absolutely wasn't, you probably turned off a whole bunch of families who were probably going to watch this movie or at least had interest of watching this movie. But because they were like, oh, here you guys go, pushing that gauge, and then again, they decided to stay at home, you only shot yourself in the foot doing something that, like I said, for a scene that had no impact whatsoever in the movie and it was such a throwaway line, it didn't even have to be in the film at all. So, I mean, what was kind of your thoughts about that whole controversy leading up to it?
It's not even the fact that, I mean, he's looking at pictures of, I mean, guys. I mean, they weren't even like, they weren't naked, they weren't shirtless. They were just open. They had an open shirt showing muscular body. Big deal. It was when they run into the house to their parents because the dragon's chasing them, and they're all like, all of them except for the well, sorry, for the fat kid, who lost his power. They all say, we're superheroes. He blurts out, "I'm gay" at that moment, and I'm thinking, A, that's predictable. We know, because they're going to use that to kind of draw away from this very, serious announcement. And so it's predictable, and B, it's rather the weirdest time to come out. Like, why again? Why are you choosing? I know why, because it's supposed to be, quote, funny to have the gay character come out at this particular moment when all hell is breaking loose and there's just mass chaos. But there's no point to it. For all the talk about representation, he's not. I mean, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the story. It's irrelevant to anything. We're not going to see him get a boyfriend. We're not going to see him be romantic. I thought to myself, if you want actual representation, okay, this is going to sound strange. Make Freddie Freeman gay. Okay, just make the secondary superhero gay if you wanted that. But of course, that would be impossible because he's all, goo eyes over this goddess who just looks terribly uncomfortable to be there. And I'm talking about the actress.
Yeah.
So of course they're not. It's pointless to a character say, "Oh, I'm gay." That's not representation. That's that, and it again.
An afterthought, really. And this is why it's so insulting, is because it is such a non-effort. It is such a afterthought that it's like that's what they think of you. They're wearing your, sexuality, culture, gender, whatever it is, as a mask. And that's why people should be pissed off. Not because I missed this. I completely missed this in the movie. The kid saying he was gay, the comment about baseball, just completely over my head. So it's
Really?
like, who's that for? Is it is it like a
For
little
Glad.
pat on the back? Hey, we care about you, gay community.
Yeah, but
What did you ask, Rick?
no, I mean, I was puzzled as to how you missed it. I can kind of get how you missed that opening scene when they're at the house, and they're talking about baseball, and he's like pretending to look at it, but he's looking at a magazine that has like
Yeah.
I guess a hot guy. But the other one, it's kind of played supposedly for laughs.
Holy crap! I just realized why.
Why?
Because the let me just put it this way: the place that's hosting the video is perhaps from a country that would not include that. I don't know. That's interesting. So yeah, there you go. Maybe that's why it wasn't in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
Oops.
you mean it could have been cut? Oh, so you're saying that it could have been cut without.
So,
it having
in
the
other
story.
words, Rob saw a version of this film where they didn't include the scene that we were talking about. So that's why.
Okay. Well, you see,
Yeah,
it
was
just-
so terrible.
we need to get the Chinese / Middle Eastern version of this movie
but
and then
again,
rewatch it.
I mean, kind of not really focusing on the fact of how you saw it.
Yeah.
You could have cut that moment out, and it wouldn't have impacted it. But
Right.
as it's played, it's when they're all storming into the foster parents' bedroom, all in costume except for him because he's had his powers zapped out, and they're all in a kind of in a panic, and they're all gonna tell their parents that they're superheroes. But that's when he blurts out, "I'm gay." In the midst, everyone is saying, we're the Philly Fiascos or whatever. And by the way, that's a really good name for the Phillies. We could, if they ever have a bad season, we could start calling them the Philly Fiascos. No, I'm just saying. But it's at that moment that he says, "I'm gay," and like everyone is like, "Oh, we knew." All right. But after that, it's irrelevant. It's never brought up again. And of course, it's not because it's unimportant. That's not, I keep saying this, that's not actual representation. If you're just going to have a character be gay to be gay for no purpose, it serves nothing to the plot, then why have it other than to say, "Oh, we have a gay character"? It just is kind of pointless to me. I don't understand the thinking behind it.
Like I said, that it's basically all it is because they want to be like, oh, well, this movie had LGBT representation because of that one scene. It's all about adding it to. It's all about checking off their box for that whole scene in the movie, which did way more damage than any good that it could have possibly done to it. But we'll get back to that one here in a second. So let me ask you guys this, because I had a couple of thoughts thinking about, okay, there's so many characters in this film. It's kind of hard to point out like who did I actually like and who like didn't like. We can't talk about each and every one, so I guess I'll let you guys here pick one character you did like in the movie and then one character you didn't like in the movie, and then pretty much point to anyone who probably didn't need to be here at all. Starting with Rob.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this movie has had a terrible setup for me to like it. I hate kids, and I hate kids as main characters. They're annoying and stupid, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But I will say I did like Freddie Freeman, the kid who played Freddie Freeman. I thought he was relatively charismatic. I don't think he's given a whole lot to do or like the best dialogue. I think he made the most out of it though. You know,
Yeah, his
so
his
I
usefulness is pretty much rubbed out like in the first like
yeah,
maybe act of the film, really.
yeah, and I will say this: Rachel Ziegler is like probably the best actor in this, and she's
Hmm.
also not good. So that tells you, it tells you like just the full picture. Like she's there and she's giving an effort. It's just, but it's also bad.
Shazam 2 versus the old ladies. I mean, you're not wrong. But Rick, who did you like and who did you not like in this film?
Oh, geez. Well, geez, I didn't really like anyone in this movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
I
came up
mean,
with somebody. You come up with somebody. Let's go. Shot.
okay. Well, the problem that I have when it comes to Freddie Freeman is that so much of the focus seemed to be about him. And again, we've had this. We had this in Ant Man, where he was a supporting character in his own movie. Shazam is the same thing. He's a supporting character. I guess if anything, the few moments that we had, if I had to pick a character, it would be Billy Batson when he's not Shazam, because it at least seemed. I mean, he had that good moment at the end when like the mother says, "Let me see Billy," as Billy. I don't want to see Billy. I don't want to see Shazam. I want to see Billy. And there seemed to be like a really brief moment where there was some kind of connection there, and he was playing it straight. I have to admit, maybe I'm a softie, but I did kind of like young Darla, Doria, whatever. I know I respond to like sweet natured little girls. And to her credit, both the older and younger ones at least kept to the same kind of personality, who was very perky. No arguments here.
I
Uh,
forgot he was even in the movie. That
but
was
for me, I
bad.
think the worst performance was Rachel Zegler, because she just looked
Hmm.
so bored. She looked like didn't want to be there, and she just was there.
Can't
Uh,
really
I
blame her, but yeah.
I admire Lucy for just embracing the kind of the camp of it all. I didn't like Jaimin Hansu because it always seemed like he was trying to be serious to the point where it wasn't working. Like that running thing. I asked you guys, was it some sort of running gag that he could never get Freddie Freeman's name right? He kept calling him Jeff or Kyle or whatever, but only once did he actually get it right. I don't understand why he
It
went doing
might be
that.
a joke about how, because like he's not from, and he's not from American culture, so these names
Could be,
sound all the
but
same to him
but
as
it
like
just yeah,
a Westerner
but
would
it
hear
just seemed really
Chinese
bad.
names and they're
But
alien to him.
when he pops into Billy's dream or fantasy, I was like, oh, I don't want to see that. That's like horrifying. Like not only I hope that was bad CGI, because I don't want to think of Jaimin Hansu basically in drag.
Also, could you tell that especially in the first scene when he's imprisoned, by like Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, they're not on the same set. You never see
Yeah,
their
you pointed that
faces in the
out.
same shot, and it's just like things like that. It's so painful when you notice, how shoddy the sort of like lack of craftsmanship is.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'll point this out. There's probably a lot of people who took this role because they need the money. Like pretty much everyone in the film, outside of maybe the lead actor, took this because they desperately need the cash.
I
Well,
can't
and
believe Helen Mirren needs the cash.
I didn't see Ant-Man 3. Okay, so I can't comment on it, but it felt like Buzz Lightyear in the sense that where the name character is sort of a secondary background character, at least until I mean, I'm sure we'll get there, but until the end. He's
Yep.
just kind of like an unsure, aw shucks sort of like character there. And he doesn't have anything to do, it feels like, for the most part.
No, and yeah, there was a terrible decision to try to make that aging out of foster care be the dramatic drive for Billy Batson, because it just wasn't there, and
Yeah.
there was just so many things. Maybe I think maybe the best performance was by Steve,
Yeah.
the
Maybe
magical
so.
pen.
I mean, I can't. Like I said, as far as like performances go, I kind of agree. I think maybe Freddie had more personality than anyone else in the film goes. 'Cause, I mean, Zachary, his performance was nothing to was nothing to, I guess, praise, like, as far as like that goes. I mean, all the performance on this movie was just kind of bare. Like, even like Marin and Lucy Liu as like the big bad villains, even they felt like they were just kind of like coasting through this film. Like, they didn't really give like any kind of distinction, considering the fact that they're playing like essentially elder gods. You think maybe they can bring a little bit of oomph to this film, but it's like, no, they're just all kind of there. It doesn't feel like there's any cohesion or chemistry with them at all, and I know that kind of plays into the later part of the film where they all kind of like break up and start fighting each other. But they did themselves no favors with this movie at all.
Well, I
I
mean,
just want to say this real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Okay, you guys are probably gonna laugh at me, but like the original Clash of the Titans, okay? Like, look at how the acting performances of the gods in that, where they're
Yeah.
like Shakespearean in nature. Like, there's real effort given. I mean, that's that. And I granted, that was 40 years ago. It was a long time ago, but still, it's like that's what Hollywood has lost in a sense, is a dedication to getting it right and caring, giving a shit about the product you're putting out to an audience, hopefully.
Well, I mean, when you look at the original Clash of the Titans, which I enjoy a lot, I think is a good film. Yeah, I mean, Olivier took the job for the money, but at least he wasn't trying to play down to it. You know, he tried to give his all. Same with like someone like a Joan Crawford, who would act and treat this seriously. Helen Mirren, I think she tried. Certainly, I felt a little embarrassed when she has to read that letter that came in to them to negotiate, and she's reading it, what's supposed to be word for word, and it just has all of these weird statements from a group of people who are, some of them are in, like, I'm assuming 19, 20, and one of them is going to be 18, and all of these, oh well, should we proofread it? And it's like, oh, proofreading is fun, and she's reading it in this, the way it's supposed to be, staccato manner, where she's like reading word for word, and I bless her for that. I bless her for that, because she's trying to make it work, and she's giving it her all, but it's just, you think, I mean, why treat your characters like they're total imbeciles? I mean, I could understand Daria, that was supposed to be the youngest one, behaving like this, but Mary, I mean, she was there, and Eugene, he's supposed to be smarter than this. Why are you treating your characters in such a poor way? I felt bad for them.
I wanted to bring this up too because I don't think it's much of a spoiler because Warner Brothers was so desperate for money they spoiled it themselves. But Gal Gadot is obviously in the film. If you're watching the film just for her, I'm telling you right now, she only shows up in like literally the last 2 or 3 minutes of the movie, so she's not in it much like at all. But I guess it's kind of like the word that I heard is I guess she's going to be in the new Aquaman movie too. So she literally hopped over from that set onto this one to do this film, which I guess like whatever, but yeah, the cameo of this movie really didn't make much sense. They only brought her in so she can bring back one of the characters towards like the very end, and then because they spoiled it already, you can tell like in the film it was supposed to be like this big, oh my god, it's Wonder Woman moment, but then you already told people that it was going to happen, so it's like that scene had no impact whatsoever. But then I'm also thinking about this too, because we brought this up last night. Let me see if I can bring up this picture here. The other girl who's in the movie, I guess her name is like Grace Curry, if I'm not mistaken. She looks more like Wonder Woman now than Wonder Woman does in this own film, right? So this is what she looks like in the movie here, and I'm thinking to myself, she looks more like Wonder Woman than Gal Gadot does in this film. They even got her like dressed up in like similar colors, but apparently they're not moving forward with this actress after this film either. I don't think she has any other projects coming out soon. So it's like I don't know what's going to happen with the Wonder Woman character. They've made no bones about what the future is going to hold for her at all at this point, because we know that Gal Gadot's probably not coming back either. So this whole thing from top to bottom is just a complete mess of people who just don't know like what the hell they're doing. So.
No, I mean, what I didn't understand is, okay, so she made a big cameo at the end. Now that we've revealed that,
Yeah.
why then go through all these hoops and ladders when Wonder Woman is supposed to be on that fantasy date with Shazam?
Yeah.
I mean, they went through a lot to obscure the face and just
Yep.
You show her from the back, only to when we finally see the face, it's Jaimin Hansu imposed on this. And I was horrified. I thought, oh my gosh, this looks hideous. Either it's just terrible CGI, which is just unbelievably bad, or they got him in drag. Either way, it's not a good look. So why go through all that? It would have had a greater impact if she had popped up at that moment, like Gal Gadot had appeared in that fantasy sequence. So kind of say, oh well, and it would have established that she would come back because she would be alive. But no, they had to go for, I guess, some sort of comic moment with Jaimin Hansu
Rick.
looking like Wonder Woman, spouting all this gibberish, and I was quite horrified. I was like, ugh, I didn't want to finish my wings that I was eating.
Well,
It was like
it's
so horrified.
it's a tease to keep audiences in their seats because they want to leave already. So it's like, hey, watch for another hour and you might get to see Wonder Woman again.
No, I wouldn't.
The
have
real Wonder Woman.
I wouldn't have gotten that impression at
He's
all.
like, wait, no, stop.
I know. I'm just fucking with you. No, it's just a bad movie. It's a poor execution. I think it's bad CGI, by the way.
But
I can't. By the way, I can't begin to pronounce that gentleman's name, so I'm not gonna try.
Jaimin Hansu.
Very talented actor. Give him all his due, but he does not belong in this movie because he's not utilized really at all. And I feel bad for him.
No, I mean, I did feel bad when he has to. I mean, the one of the few bright moments is when he's stuck in prison with Freddie Freeman, and he has to say, of all the people, I'm stuck with you. You're making this worse. Be quiet. I'm trying to sleep. But it's like he's trying. I guess they're trying to make him some sort of comic relief, and it wasn't working for me. I didn't find him funny because he was trying to be serious, overly serious, and then trying to be a little silly at the same time. Unaware that he's being silly, but it just doesn't work. And then at the end, when he comes out at the end, all shaved and looking like some sort of pimp, it's like, for a moment I really thought, is that like, they tried to channel Billy Porter in all this? Like, it looked really bad with the hat and under the scarf. Is like, I have not traveled the world. I have not seen your world. I'm going, well, this is kind of weird. And he was brought there because he needed to give Shazam his true name, which is Shazam. It's like, ugh, what they've been calling him all the time. But I guess it's better than the Philly fiascos. I just thought that's, and it's weird that somebody who brought up Wolf Blitzer, that he would actually refer to them on camera as the Philly fiascos. It's like, why?
I mean, the only reason why CNN is in this movie is because they owned by Warner Brothers as well.
Warner Brothers,
so,
yeah.
So look, throughout the course of this entire review, I've tried to hit up on certain spots of this movie to be like, well, what about the big ending and then the creatures? And then it's the more I really think about it, it's like there wasn't really much that happened in this movie that's worth talking about. Is I'm the only one that feels this way?
No, that's what I was telling my roommate before coming on tonight. There's plenty to criticize, but there's really not much to talk about. The movie is just really badly executed with a lot of bad CGI, nothing performances, characters that just do not they don't resonate. And so it's a teenager movie, basically. It's teenager drama, and I'm in love with a 6,000-year-old woman, and and I'm Adam Brody and all that shit. So
isn't that the same? Isn't that the same plot of Mannequin? The guy's in love with a 6,000-year-old woman.
Yeah, I did think about that, by the way. And Adam Brody actually don't think is bad in this. I don't think Adam Brody is a bad actor in general.
No,
but I was kind of surprised to see him. Was he in the last movie? And
I believe so. That? Yes, I believe he was. Yeah, I believe he was the incarnation of Freddie Freeman. The only thing is, I just looked at him and I thought he looks much older than he's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. There were certain moments, and I don't know if we've talked about them. One moment when the three goddesses confront Freddie Freeman, I mentioned this to you guys. I was quite horrified when Dietrich Bader's character, walks off the roof.
Killed?
Well, no, he doesn't get killed. He kills himself.
Oh, but yeah,
he kills himself. And I thought, well, that's an interesting way to bring in family audiences. Yes, let's just have a character who we've seen maybe once or twice. Yeah, let's just see him commit suicide and never bring it up again, not mention it. that this person just walked off the roof. And I don't know if you had the same experience that I did at the theaters when the unicorns come out and we find what the closest thing to ambrosia is on Earth. And Daria tosses the Skittles. The people to the right and to the left of me started going, "Taste the rainbow, taste the
Hate
rainbow."
everyone. Okay,
And I
the
was and I
human
was
race is
starting.
a mistake.
I
Let's
was
just end
starting.
it
I
now.
was laughing. I was laughing.
I
But
also
then,
forgot all about the Skittles product placement in this
but
movie as
but
well
the thing
too. So.
is, sorry. But the thing is, when she said it, that's when I lost it, and I was just laughing uncontrollably. But not because I thought it was funny, because I thought it was completely
Yeah, you
stupid.
thought it was funny.
No, it was not funny. It was funny when the guy to the right of me and the guy to the left of me whispered it, and I thought, no, they're not going to mention it. Why? And when did we decide that Skittles was the closest thing to ambrosia? I mean, where did this knowledge come from? I mean,
Marshawn Lynch.
from
Just don't question it. Oh yeah, by the way, the unicorns are like really evil people in this film too. Did you guys know that?
yeah, all the monsters are they're all monsters are afraid of the unicorns.
What
Look.
is this, Legend? Jesus Christ, dude! Like, come on.
Look, I've done a lot of bad movies and I've done a lot of good movies, but this is like one of the first films on this show where it's like I got nothing. Like, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's like the most average nothing of a film that I could possibly think of. I'll go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, it's a 1 out of 5. Come on. I mean, it's like I didn't want to go as low as half a star because that's for the real like the
The
zeros.
really
or
bad
the-
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a 1 because there's just nothing. There's nothing to sort of like catch. I saw people saying this is not a bad comic book movie or they liked it okay. I guess. I mean, yes, it has the 3 act structure of the average superhero movie, but character, dialogue, engagement with the world, all that stuff is just nil. So
Well,
there's just very little for me to
I mean,
kind of.
I gotta give this like a 1.5 because it's like there's just nothing to this film like at all. I mean, look, the women in the film are good looking, so there's that. I mean, if you want that to be a draw, then go for it. But I
yeah,
mean,
hey, I don't question your passion for Helen Mirren.
yeah, that's you who have a Helen Mirren obsession. It's like,
Rachel Zegler's kind of cute, but whatever.
No, she's
you know.
no, she looked very
Yeah.
wooden.
yeah,
She looked very
She's
wooden
fine.
in this.
she's not ugly, but she's just irritating. I think that's my
True,
disconnect
that's true.
of her.
Mary
So.
was much more attractive. The oldest Shazam.
Oh yeah. Mary's
She
super
annoys
hot.
the shit out of me, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of her fucking baby voice. And if you don't know what I mean by baby voice, I just mean that like that kind of higher pitched.
No. Are you talking about Mary, or are you talking about the one that Megan Good plays? Because that's
No,
different.
Mary, yeah, the white chick.
Okay, never mind.
No, I love Megan Good. I've actually known about Megan Good for like 20 years. She's
Yeah,
okay.
Same here.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised you guys aren't excited by that talking worm at the very end. Yeah, you stayed to the very end. You get to see Mark Strong.
No,
in
yeah, no.
prison.
I walked out of the theater before
Okay,
that. So,
so did you guys at least see the mid credit where these two guys go to Shazam?
yeah, they were building up the Justice Society, but like I said, we already know that's going nowhere. So that scene was completely pointless.
Yeah, and I was pretty much confused too. Like, why is there a Justice League, Justice Society? And again, my golden dream is to see a Legion of Doom movie, but that's not going to happen. But at the end of the movie, like at the literal end, there's that scene where Mark Strong comes back as whatever character he was in the first Shazam, and he sees, I guess, this talking worm that's supposed to, I guess, be a great villain. And the worm says, it took a while for me to get here. No surprise. And the finally says, well, I have something else to do, so I'm gonna slither away. And where's Mark Strong? It's like, I'm 57 years old, or I'm 67 years old. I don't know how much longer I can wait. And I thought, okay, I don't know who this talking worm is. I don't think anyone slipped anything into my drink. Am I hallucinating?
Oh, okay. Apparently, it's a DC character called Mastermind. So that's what they were.
Oh yeah,
That's what they were supposedly building
like
towards this film.
I'm supposed to know all this. I mean, not since Harry Styles popped up at the end of Avengers have I thought I was literally hallucinating at the end of a comic book movie. I'm
Well,
like,
correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that talking worm like the end credit in like the last film too? So you had him be a teaser for the last two movies. Like wouldn't shouldn't he have been like the main villain of this film to begin with? Since you already teased him in the last film.
I don't remember, but I mean, it's hard to make a talking worm scary. I mean, it just seems a bizarre choice, and I don't know if whatever this character, Mastermind, if it's supposed to be a character from the DC universe, but it's just going to be, it just looks absurd, and I didn't, I was like, what am I watching? Here's my ranking, a 0. This is really for me one of the worst movies I've seen. I'm seriously wondering whether Magic Mike's Last Dance was worse. I think this one might actually be worse. I give credit, I guess some credit to like Zachary Levi, who played the part that he was given, even though he's far too old. And I'm not talking about the actor, I'm talking about the character. He's too old to see a pediatrician and mistake that for a psychiatrist. He's too old to be uh, constantly wondering why nobody wants to be around him. He should be concentrating on getting a job, even if it's partially. He's too immature to be 18 years old. Uh, so I guess I give him begrudging credit for that. But this is really an absolutely terrible film. I don't get any reason for it. It's sad that the things that I found funny were Freddie Freeman just not being able to get into Citizens Bank Park. I know I maybe driving that into the ground, but this was for me one of the worst films I have seen this year. I'm just struggling to find anything that I liked about it. It was too long. It was I don't even remember. It was really bad. This is I'm just no, I can't find it. I'm really struggling to find anything that I liked about this.
Yeah, like I said, I give this like a 1.5 out of 5. Like I was excited to talk about it. I thought there'd be a lot to talk about. Then as we started talking, I was like, wow, there was nothing to this film at all. So
Well, there's plenty to talk about. There's plenty, there's a character suicide. There's the bumbling. There's Wonder Woman popping up for no real discernible reason. There's the fact that Shazam is a sporting character in his own film. There's
so just nothing about the film itself.
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing about the film. There's Skittles, the Skittles bit.
His
There's
product placement.
But
there's
it's another where the hero is sort of like undercut and like just, he's weak and he's questioning himself and he's unsure and while some of those things can still be explored and still have a heroic arc, this is much more like take a back seat, old man. We're gonna, it's like we're the other members are gonna be in the forefront. And it's like I don't know. It seemed like a movie that had no ideas, and then the ideas they had no idea how to execute them, and so just the whole movie is bad on every single level, every conceivable way. It's a badly made movie.
it is, and it has really some horrifyingly bad CGI work. It's just bloated, boring. Just just really
But
one of
like,
the
and I agree with you, Rick. Shazam. I mean, people in the chat can disagree who are more versed in the comics than I am. I don't think Shazam deserves his own movie. I don't think he's a character that's interesting enough for his own movie. Like for you to have your own movie, you should have a backstory that is compelling to an audience. Now, maybe people are interested enough in Shazam for that, but I mean, he was always a secondary, at least in my opinion, in my view, a secondary and tertiary character, even with the Justice League.
well,
The stories
even
he was
then,
involved with. So
even then, the first Shazam I didn't hate, and I probably gave it a positive review
yeah,
because at least it was trying. It was like, yeah, I can understand that the kid, like 12, 14 years old, he gets all these powers. He's going to be dumb about it until he kind of rallies and take some sort of responsibility. But here you have a character who's regressed, or for some bizarre reason stayed mentally 12 to 14 when he should
Yeah.
be worrying about other things, and so many other elements. I mean, I really forgot about all these other side characters, all the other Shazamis. Um, why were they there? Uh, I mean, what
It's all about family, Rick.
family? Now I can
I
actually say it
hated
with
that
voice.
part. I hated that part. I hated that part so much.
Get it? Because Vin Diesel says family a lot in the
Yeah.
Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, family.
Get it?
And now we just have these. I mean, why have the gay character there? I guess you have a perfectly multicultural cast. You have an Asian, you have a black girl, you have
Hey, Rick,
gay. What?
When I say that there was nothing to talk about the film, I mean like recap everything we've already said
Yeah.
before we got to this point. Like,
I'm sorry. But,
well,
yeah,
look,
bad.
we reached the end of our show. All I can say is that next week is John Wick, so hopefully we have a lot more to talk about next week than we did this week, because I guess it's a good thing we had other movies to talk about, because this one was kind of a drag. So we'll have a much better show for the week coming up, but until then, we got a couple things I wanted to tell you guys about. Rick, this is your time to talk, but don't talk for too long. So if you got anything you got to come up, go ahead and let people know now.
Yeah, no, just upcoming up, just reviews, more reviews about the films that I've seen, including Shazam, and yeah, that's it. Just publishing my reviews on my site, Rick's Texan Reviews. You can also find me at Rick's Cafe Texan, and that's pretty much it.
All right then, Mr. Rob, what you got coming up besides Termination?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I right. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. It's going fine. You know, my Twitter is getting some additional activity in terms of who visits it lately.
Yeah.
So that's fun, but not work related. I need to get back on the horse of getting some more reviews out. I certainly watch enough movies to do that. It's just about kind of finding the time during the week. But yeah, so I should have some reviews out this week. I'm just watching a bunch of movies. I am to get under my my baseball movie kick here, leading up to opening day that I'm looking forward to. So just check out my Twitter, which is available at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, now you can see it. This is right there. It says
There you
Rob
go.
Motto on Twitter. So there we go. And then letting you guys know what we got coming up. Tomorrow night will be episode 40 of the Barroom Podcast. We're at 40 episodes. So tomorrow we're going to have a chat about this whole Jenny Ortega situation, because people are trying to prop her up as if she's somehow a victim of cancel culture, when in fact cancel culture launched her career, because she ended up destroying somebody else's career in order to launch her own. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Victoria Alonso is officially gone from Marvel. The person responsible for all the terrible woke crap in the Marvel universe for the last 2 decades. So how does this change the game? Or are they just going to hire somebody even worse than her? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Another NHL player is getting heat for refusing to wear the LGBTQ agenda jersey. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I got Elizabeth Olsen, who wants to make Scarlet Witch a more comedic character. And then I'm going to pose this question for you guys tomorrow. Don't answer it now. Save it for tomorrow. But is Seth Rogen the worst producer ever? Is he the worst? We'll figure out the answer to that show tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and thank everyone who joined us for the show tonight. We got D-Man here who joined us. Duke, Alex versus Evil, Spencer was here, Doba Fett, DK. I want to make sure I got everyone before we head out. Rocky the Black Dragon, who was also here with us tonight. Yeah, everyone who joined us, thanks for joining us on the Monday night. We will see you guys tomorrow night for the Barroom Podcast. We're going to have a very fun, heated discussion then. Until then, we're going to go ahead and sign off and get out of here. Hit the spring yard. See you tomorrow. Adios.